What's going on YouTube? Justin here with the Podcast Dojo. Today on Abandoned Locations we are going to talk about Holy Land USA, a Christian-based theme park in Waterbury, Connecticut. First off, yes, I am aware that the park did reopen to the public in September 2014. But it was abandoned for 30 years, so as far as I'm concerned, we can talk about it here on Abandoned Locations. So Holy Land USA was a Christian-based theme park conceived by John Baptist Greco, a Waterbury-based attorney. There were no rides, but the park had replicated parts of Bethlehem and Jerusalem during the biblical era, such as a recreation of the Garden of Eden. But the most iconic structure was the 50-foot neon cross that stood over the park. This cross was later replicated with a short, more durable cross in the late 2000s. When being interviewed about the park, one of John's employees said, "John was a very spiritual man. He wanted to do this for the people of the community. He felt no one, no matter what race, creed, or color, should be separated. He wanted a place for all to sit and be peaceful." Considering the park opened in 1955, this was very admirable and respectable for John, considering that segregation was unfortunately still around. The park was 18 acres and averaged about 40,000 people a year during the 1960s and 70s. This really doesn't sound like a lot, especially when you compare it to today's theme park numbers. When going to the website, it said admission was $50. On top of that, with no rides, I would think utilities wouldn't be as high as, say, a normal theme park with rides. The park closed down in 1984 for repairs and was left to an order of nuns known as the Filippini Sisters. John died in 1986 at the age of 91, and any plans to improve the park and expand on the site were left unfinished. Despite being closed, the park still attracted a lot of attention. Some good, others not so good. Some just wanted to visit the attraction to see it in person, but others trespassed and vandalized the property. Many of the attractions had either been vandalized or were damaged due to age. There were many attempts to restore the park but were turned away. Many believers believe that the Filippini sisters did this out of fear of being sued or a liability. Even as the park continued to crumble from nature and vandalism, the sisters still prayed at Holy Land USA every Sunday. Now, this next part is a little dark, but I'm going to mention it because I do think it is what truly sparked interest in the park being reopened. On the night of July 15th, 2010, 16-year-old Chloe Ottoman snuck into Holy Land USA with her friend, 19-year-old Francisco Cruz. Francisco believed that Chloe had a boyfriend, so out of jealousy, he raped and murdered her. Now, out of respect for the victim and her family, I am not going to go into details about everything that happened, but I have attached a news article in the description if you're really curious and would like to know more. So as mentioned, this horrific event garnered a lot of media attention, and thus I believe inspired the restoration of the park. In June 2013, Mayor Neil O'Leary and car dealer Fred Blasius purchased Holy Land for $350,000. They have since restored it and reopened it to the public in September of 2014. It's that time again, time for my what if scenario. So for this one, let's say the murder of Chloe never happened. So as I mentioned before, I believe the media attention garnered by Chloe Ottoman was what prompted the park to be restored. Now remember, this is all speculation on my part. That's what the what if scenarios always are. I think that the Filippi sisters sold the park because of the murder, and they just realized it was finally time to get the park up and running again. After all, once the murder happened, there was a lot less crime and vandalism in the park. So with no media attention from such a serious crime in the park, I think it would still just lay there dormant. After all, the Filippi sisters didn't seem to want anyone to restore the park due to fear of liability. However, there is still a chance that over time someone could have bought the park. The Filippi sisters eventually would have gotten too old to run the park themselves, and they would have had to pass it down to someone else at some point, especially since the park was in their name. What always puzzled me is why the sisters turned away restoration attempts. Sure, the speculation is being sued and liability, but wasn't it John's dream to have a place where people could go and celebrate Christianity? Well, I have two theories on this before we close out. As far as being sued, I suspect they were worried about reopening the park and someone getting hurt in the park. After all, this wasn't a huge attraction like, say, Disney World, where they can afford to handle something like that. My other theory is that maybe they were afraid of that whoever restored the park wouldn't do it in John's original image. Honestly, who knows? It's just speculation on my part. But hey, the park's reopened to the public now. So go ahead and comment below. Have you ever been to this park? Please share any stories about it if you have. Hey everyone, I want to thank you so much for watching my video. Be sure to leave a rating, share this video with your friends, and be sure to check out some other videos I have in the annotations below. Thanks again, and take care. See you next time.